Hey everybody, I'm Adalina East, founder of Transformational Healing, multidimensional mentor, and mental health expert. Today we're going to talk about fear, the fear response, and how to regulate it. So as many of you know, I have a background in neuroscience, and I learned so much about what happens in our brain and our bodies when we feel fear. And getting courageous is one of the most important things we can do in this new world, right? Like everything has changed so much. We have to be bigger and braver and bolder than we ever thought possible. And so I thought today would be a great day to start talking to you about fear and the ways that you can overcome fear and get really brave. So let's first start with the biology of all of this, because I think my neuroscience background can kind of ground all of this spiritual work really well so that you have a foundation for what it is that you're about to learn. So we have this thing in our brains called the amygdala. It's this really small almond-shaped thing. And it sounds so tiny and it has such a cute name, but it actually is responsible for a lot of our fear response. So let's say, for example, you are about to step off of a curb and go into traffic, like walk across the street, right? So you look both ways and you make sure that there are no cars coming, but then you step off the curb when there are no cars coming and a car kind of comes out of nowhere and nearly swipes you. That sets off your fear response. That sets off your amygdala to send all of these different chemicals through your body so that you can run or try to avoid that car. And a lot of psychologists and neuroscientists refer to this response as fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. We'll get into those different things in a moment. But basically what's happening when you go into that fear place is that your cortisol amps up, so the stress hormone in your body amps up so that you can do something about the stress. And you also, your digestion gets shut down, your sexual reproduction kind of goes into hibernation for a bit. You have adrenaline pumping through your body so that you can run from that car or do whatever needs to be done in that fearful place. And all of that is fine, and that's healthy, and that's a great response to almost getting hit by a car, to make sure that you don't almost get hit by a car again. The problem arises when that goes into a habitual traumatic response for your body. Who among us has no trauma? I think no one, especially after the last couple of years. But what happens over time is if you continue to have repeated traumas, or if you just really have that one trauma and your brain gets a little out of joint, we'll call it, it can keep replaying that physical reaction in your body. You can keep over and over again having that cortisol elevation, that adrenaline pumping through you that makes you feel like it's time to run when there's nothing to run from. So the example that I always like to give people about this trauma response and this like over amping up of these chemicals in their brain response is, imagine you're a child and you're out in the grocery store with your mom, as I'm sure many of us were, or your dad. And imagine you notice what your parent is wearing that day and they happen to be wearing a red shirt. Okay, so the red shirt is on, you're in the grocery store, you're begging for cookies or whatever you're doing as a child. And as you are walking around with your parent, you suddenly lose your parent. They've gone into a different aisle, you don't know where they are, and you start to panic, you're tiny, you don't know how to handle things like this. And so you start really going into that fear response. What can happen to many of us after this is, even after you're reconnected with your parent and everything's fine, everything's calm, your body can actually train itself into going into that fear response. And so, and this is a very simplistic example, but what happens for a lot of people is then something about that environment sets them off for future. So you can see things like, let's say, a fear of grocery stores. There are various phobias out there, right? You can see a fear of grocery stores. Maybe the color red has just always made you super anxious after that moment. And so when you go into those times, we all have to go to the grocery store and we all have to see the color red. So it can't be one of those things where every time you have to go to the store or you see red, you start to have excessive adrenaline, amped up cortisol. This can really wear and tear on your body over time. And so it's really important that we learn how to what's called self-regulate. So we can self-regulate through a lot of different ways. Some self-regulation can come from just working on your breathing really simply and really easily. So I want you to take a moment here and just imagine whatever it is that triggers you into fear, right? Like what stops you from getting brave about something? I know for some people it's like spiders or snakes or things like that. For some people it's flying. And for some people it's a very deeply rooted trauma response, right? So we're not going to deal with the deep rooted trauma today. We're going to do that in the next video. Today we're just going to deal with whatever little thing makes you feel afraid and stops you from getting brave. So I'm going to say, for example, public speaking, because I know that's a big one for many people. So let's say you're getting ready to do a presentation at work, or you're getting ready to make a YouTube video or whatever, and you're having that fear of public speaking. So as all of those things start to happen in your body, you have that cortisol release, you have that adrenaline release, your brain actually gets a little bit foggier because you can't do higher level executive decision making when you're in this state. So if you're going to present something to people, if you're going to be public speaking, it's really important for you to be able to self-regulate that fear response so that you can do it and do it well. So let's do this breath practice together while we work on this fear response. And then I hope you'll join me for the next video where I take you through 2 or 3 different processes that take less than 5 minutes that can help you self-regulate also. So this is something called the box breath. When you're having an amped up response to fear, your breathing becomes more shallow. It's a really natural physiological process. But what studies have found over time is that if you extend the exhale longer, or if you hold the breath out or hold the breath in, all of these different variations can make a difference in bringing that cortisol down, bringing that anxiety down, bringing that adrenaline down. So let's first start with the box breath, and then we're going to go into a longer breathing process where our exhales get very long and we hold it out. So all the box breath is breathe in for 5 counts, hold for 5 counts, breathe out for 5 counts, hold for 5 counts. It looks like a box. That's why it's the box breath. So breathe in for 5, hold 5, out 5, hold 5. And I'll walk you through it. So breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that you're a little calmer, we're going to breathe in for 5 and breathe out for 7. If you can hold the out breath for 7 counts, great. If not, just hold it out for as long as you can. So breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Doesn't that feel so much better? And this is something small that you can do, even if other people are talking to you. You're getting ready to do that big presentation at work or do whatever that thing is that you're afraid of. You can do it while other people are talking. Use that breath process a few times throughout your day just to relax your body. And we've found through modern neuroscience time and time again that sometimes the mind follows the body, sometimes the body follows the mind. So if your body is super amped up and you're feeling really out of control, use this quick breath practice to just bring yourself back down a little bit. In the next video, I'm going to share with you a few other ways to bring yourself back to neutral and to get some actual healing on those fears. So let's keep getting brave today, everybody. See you soon.